Tonight, troubling questions about a fire.
And this is very unfortunate that this has occurred.
The discovery that officials say put multiple people at risk, and
it's mind-boggling that nobody knocked on my door.
One tenant's concern about the response. Murder charge.
The investigation is still active and ongoing.
New developments in the region's first homicide investigation of the year. Business with Bieber.
He walked in like any old customer, any regular customer. We weren't expecting him because he wasn't in Cambridge yet, wasn't known. It was crazy.
The spin-off from a pop superstar's surprise stops.
So we've got, a little more traction because of it, which is quite lovely for any business.
At some local shops.
Good evening. First up tonight, some lingering questions from the scene of a fire that happened over the weekend in Elora. Now, no one was hurt, but officials say people inside were put at risk because a smoke alarm had been disabled. And a tenant is also wondering why firefighters didn't get him out. CTV's Krista Simpson reports.
Flames break out around 1 in the morning Saturday at a building on Metcalfe Street in downtown Elora. Tenant Trevor Wedgwood says he was asleep in his second-floor unit at the time.
I was woken up by my dog and smoke about, I'm going to say about 1:30, 1:35.
That is half an hour after fire crews were called to the scene.
It's mind-boggling that nobody knocked on my door.
The building houses a business and residential units, most of which are short-term Airbnb rentals. 12 people were inside at the time of the fire. No one was hurt.
Fire crews responded quickly and did an exceptional job of knocking the fire down and containing it to just one rental unit and an adjacent supply room.
Deputy Fire Chief Jonathan Karn says the priority was to put the fire out, ensure it did not spread, and then search the units, starting with the ones closest to the fire.
So with the number of units that's here, with the suppression and the search closest to the fire, that was our initial response. We did search all the units after that, and in between us getting to that unit, that person had self-evacuated.
Deputy Chief Jason Ben says all the smoke alarms in the building were working, except for one.
The alarm had been intentionally disabled by a tenant taking off the wiring base, and the battery was removed. And this is very unfortunate that this has occurred.
I'm not going to argue with what the fire inspector has said, or the fire chief has said. Yeah, I think let's not focus on one unit, let's focus on every unit.
Fire officials are not commenting on what they believe caused the fire, but they do confirm the flames broke out in one of the short-term rental units.
It was an Airbnb unit. They had 4 people in it. They seen the fire start, and they were alerted to it by sight, attempted to extinguish, but the rate of growth, they then evacuated the building.
The fire a challenge to fight, given the age of the building, its proximity to others, and the number of renovations it had seen over the years.
Never disable a smoke alarm. Test the smoke alarms monthly by pressing the test button. Replace the batteries at least once a year, and your alarms every 10 years or earlier.
It is pretty scary when you get woken up by the smell of fire and smoke.
Wedgwood is grateful his dog Rosie was there.
I'm lucky I got out. Let's not be hyperbolic about it. It was pretty damn scary, and I'm here, so I'm lucky.
Krista Simpson, CTV News, Elora.
Well, new developments tonight in the region's first homicide investigation of the year. A 29-year-old woman's now been charged with second-degree murder in the death of a man who was found in a Kitchener apartment yesterday. CTV's Leanne Evans joining us live now with new reporting on this tonight. Leanne, investigators now telling us the victim was a 70-year-old man.
And they believe the two knew each other, Tony, but we don't know many other details about their relationship. The victim was found dead with what police describe as significant injuries in an apartment at Cameron Street North and Weber Street South yesterday morning around 9:30. Officers had been called there for a wellness check. His cause of death still unclear at this time. The man's alleged attacker was arrested the same day. Police only identifying her as a 29-year-old woman. Neighbors telling us they were shocked to hear of a homicide investigation unfolding. Meanwhile, police are still appealing for tips in the case.
We just want to remind members of the public that we have a dedicated team assigned to this investigation. One individual has been taken into custody, and again, we're reminding anyone who has information, anyone who has seen anything, witnessed anything, to please contact our investigators so they can follow up with you.
Police wouldn't say if the woman arrested lived at the apartment building. Again, a 29-year-old woman now charged with second-degree murder in the region's first homicide investigation of the year. Tony.
Okay, Leanne Evans with new reporting on that homicide investigation. Leanne, thank you for that. Outside we go next to Alex Pinto for our first check on the weather. In the sunshine, Alex, we are on a roll this week with September weather.
Yeah, we really are. I'm not going to complain standing outside of our patio here. We've got even a nice breeze, which is making it very comfortable for your evening. And I know we chatted about this yesterday, too. A nice night for a patio dinner maybe yesterday. Tonight might be the same thing. But yes, mainly clear conditions as we look at our satellite radar map too. This hour, mainly clear. We're just seeing maybe a cloud or two in the sky depending on where you are. But outside of our studio here, mainly clear, which is pretty nice to see. Temperature-wise, many of us sitting in that mid-20 range, and we are above seasonal for this time of year. High today, 26, and we did hit that around 2 o'clock or so this afternoon. So I know many of us are enjoying this summer weather, expected to stick around for most of the week, especially as we enjoy the final week of summer before we officially welcome fall next Monday. But I'll let you know when we potentially could see the chance for some wet weather to roll in. That's coming up a little bit later. Tony.
Alex, thank you very much. We'll talk to you shortly. They called it a poverty picnic, a demonstration in Waterloo Region today, urging the Ontario government to increase social assistance rates. Advocates say Ontario disability payments, for example, need to be doubled to keep people out of poverty. CTV's Jeff Pickle live with more on this. Jeff, the rates have been increased, but demonstrators arguing today that too many people are still falling behind.
Well, Tony, we've been hearing from over the last couple of years from people who are unable to work and rely on ODSP and Ontario Works, who say they're sometimes not able to keep a roof over their heads and end up homeless while receiving assistance. They tell us the province has fallen behind and more people are at risk. So after a 2.8% increase this year, the maximum monthly rate on ODSP is just over $1,400 a month. They say with a housing crisis and overall affordability crisis, it's simply not enough to keep people housed and healthy. According to Acorn, the advocacy group who organized the picnic, 60% of people on ODSP are below the poverty line, and 60% of food bank users are using social assistance. The group says the Ontario government needs to double the ODSP rate to keep up with current costs.
Yes, from that $1,408, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay for your groceries, your internet if you want to be connected to the world, your phone if that's a requirement for your internet. And with such a low income, it isolates these people.
The province says they have gradually increased ODSP rates over the last 3 years and have increased the number of programs providing help for families and individuals. They say it's on the federal government to amend the Income Tax Act to make the largest impact. Tony?
Okay, Jeff Pickle, appreciate that. Thank you. Transport Canada is investigating after a small plane with 3 people on board crash-landed near a high school in Toronto's East End last night. Police were called to the scene near a soccer field at around 8 p.m. No injuries reported, thankfully, but there were reports of a strong fuel smell. A hazmat team quickly responded and mitigated the risk to the public. The Toronto District School Board is working with Transport Canada on next steps. It's an annual tradition that brings Queen's Park to rural Ontario. The International Plowing Match is being held in Niagara Region this year. It's a fun event, but as CTV's Siobhan Morris reports, leaders plowed into plenty of politics too.
The Premier at the controls trying to plow a straighter furrow than his political rivals.
Felt great. You just have a real respect for what the farmers do.
It's an annual tradition. MPPs ditch the suits and head out of the city to reconnect with rural voters at the International Plowing Match.
Thank you.
This was the first time Doug Ford has spoken publicly about the Prime Minister leaving development of the Ring of Fire off a list of nation-building projects to accelerate.
It's all right. I talked to him. It's going to be on the next tranche.
Ford expects something around Grey Cup time. That's mid-November. The Premier also confident Mark Carney will back his pet project, a tunnel under Highway 401.
Considering it's the busiest highway in North America and 50% of the GDP comes through Toronto, and it's costing us $58 billion of lost productivity, I think it's pretty national.
The opposition thinks it shows priorities that are out of whack with what people need.
When you start to clutter the list with what I would consider vanity projects like that, then you're not doing anybody any favors.
The Liberal presence at the ploughing match was muted. Outgoing leader Bonnie Crombie sat this one out.
She just went through probably one of the most difficult times you can go through as a political leader. She needs some time.
Liberal MPPs who ran against Crombie not sure if they'll take another shot at leading the party.
I am thinking and trying to decide what I want to do.
And Adel's over here too. Adel, are you thinking about going again?
Too early to say.
This field trip for MPPs is the first time they've been together in these numbers since the House let out in June. They won't be back at Queen's Park until October 20th. Frustrating for opposition MPPs who'd like to be back in the legislature, poking holes in the Ford government record.
We should be passing legislation right now to legalize housing in this province.
Expect a continued focus this fall on a redrawing of school boards, the possible end of trustees. The Minister of Education defends going after small expenses filed by trustees operating in a $31 billion budget.
How do you go to a parent in a school who's being asked to give money and say, don't worry, it's only $1.22? And that is the exact reason why we're taking steps to get the system under control.
The new model for school boards will be announced before the end of the year. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Start your day in the know with the CTV Kitchener newsletter. Local content, including the top stories, the latest forecast, and must-see videos. Sign up at ctvnewskitchener.ca. Planting the pieces of a bigger urban canopy in Kitchener. Coming up, the latest location to get a little greener in the city's plan to plant 19,000 more trees.
I'm Alexandra Hollick at Rockway Gardens in Kitchener, where a proposed path is creating concern in the community. We'll have more on the push and the pushback after the break.
Clear conditions and above seasonal temperatures for your Tuesday. We'll take a look if this is going to be sticking around for the rest of your work and school week, and your full forecast coming up a little bit later.
Download the CTV News app and stay on top of local stories as they unfold.
We go to a dramatic scene unfolding.
Customize your feed and watch live wherever you are. ctvkitchener.ca, your home for news. When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
A proposed pathway is raising some concerns in Kitchener. It's expected to go through Rockway Gardens, and the local horticultural society says the city should reroute it before uprooting the popular neighborhood space. Joining us now live from Rockway Gardens with more is CTV's Alexandra Hollick. So, Alexandra, what are some of the group's concerns?
Well, Tony, the people I spoke with today say it's not that they're against having a multi-use path here, but they say the city's preferred path will harm the area's landscape and stonework, reduce parking, and create safety hazards, especially during big events. A connecting corridor for Kitchener's trail system is on the way to Rockway Gardens.
The city is looking to fill two very critical gaps in the trail network that would connect a route from downtown through Rockway neighborhood into Fairway Station.
The project includes a multi-use path for pedestrians and cyclists passing through the popular green space.
We have a number of options, and we're trying to balance the important needs of this beloved community space in Rockway Gardens.
So far, the city's preferred option would run along Floral Crescent between Preston Street and Dune Road. But not everyone is on board.
In order for their proposed route to work, we would end up losing some key landscape elements of Rockway Gardens.
Those elements include historic stonework, memorial dedications, and a century-old oak tree. Not to mention free parking spaces.
Floral Crescent has on-street parking, and that is our primary source of parking for the community.
The Horticultural Society, or Garden Kitchener, is proposing its own path, one they say will cause the least disruption.
We want the trail to be rerouted alongside Charles, where there aren't as many workers and volunteers out as often, where people are still out enjoying the grounds.
The city says nothing is set in stone.
Once we've heard from the community and we've heard balanced all the different feedback, then we'll be looking at one specific option, and we would bring that back to the community again to make sure that we've heard that feedback.
But Garden Kitchener says their message is loud and clear.
It's not a generic space. It's 100% a unique space in Kitchener, and if we overlook that for things like the trail today, then we risk overlooking other things in the future.
The city is holding community consultations in person and online in the coming weeks, and they're encouraging people to come out and share their concerns. Tony?
Alexandra Hollick live at Rockway Gardens. Thank you, Alexandra. We're learning more about a botched investigation into a pair of car salesmen accused of selling stolen cars. Well, the charges were dropped last week. As CTV's John Woodward reports, one salesman and his lawyer say Toronto police made a simple but consequential mistake.
It's been hard for Fatty Zito to go out in public this past year.
You cannot do anything. You cannot work. Anywhere you go, people look at you in a bad way. They think you're a criminal.
Toronto police accused the 33-year-old car salesman of selling around 24 stolen cars out of this Scarborough dealership alongside fellow salesman Harris Bachneck.
For 176 charges, I'm like, in my whole life, I never get arrested. I never had a problem, not even a ticket.
The charges came at the height of a vehicle theft crime wave, with $1.5 billion worth of vehicles taken off the street annually nationwide. Zito insisted he wasn't guilty. He says he tried to show officers documents with the history of one Porsche Cayenne he sold that went straight back to the manufacturer. The pair were also accused of forging Carfax vehicle history reports, and that may be where the charges fell apart, said his lawyer, Danny Kafetz.
There was nothing wrong in any of the documentation.
Kafetz says police believe the Carfax reports were forged because the ones given to customers at the time of sale didn't match the ones they pulled up during their investigation. Here are two Carfax reports that illustrate the problem with that approach. They're both from the same car, but from different dates. This one has an extra year's worth of information. That's why they don't match.
The Carfax that was obtained by the police through serious error in their part was for a different day than the day the car was sold.
W5 pulled the original reports from the source and showed they were legitimate. Our reporting also determined that some vehicle identification numbers had been listed as exported before they were sold at the dealership, a common tactic to disguise stolen cars for legitimate sale. That sort of VIN fraud is so common, Carfax estimates there are over 140,000 disguised stolen vehicles on Ontario roads. Some may have gone through that dealership just by chance. Toronto Police and its association told CTV News they stand by their work.
The main thing is, to me, it's just to clear my reputation at this moment. It's not about going after anybody.
Kafetz not ruling out suing the Toronto Police. Zito just wants to get back to selling cars. John Woodward, CTV News.
A new study of our healthcare system looks at the impact of when a cancer diagnosis is made in a hospital ER. It's a situation becoming increasingly common amid a shortage of family physicians and long waits for diagnostic tests. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has more.
Emergency departments are unique. We often provide episodic care, so we only see a patient once and we don't have ways to follow up with patients, make sure that referrals that were sent actually happen.
A recent study by Dr. Kirat Gurwal shows an increasing number of cancer patients are actually being diagnosed during a visit to the emergency room, pointing to the lack of access to family physicians.
We interviewed 20 emergency physicians across Ontario.
The problems range from the environment.
Emergency departments are routinely overcrowded. Patients who have suspected cancer diagnoses are often seen in waiting rooms and hallways, and having these discussions can be difficult for both patients and providers.
To the follow-up, as biopsies are usually required for a cancer confirmation and any referral to an oncologist.
The challenge with the emergency providers is they don't have that continuity with the patient. So they can make the referral, but oftentimes we'll get referral rejections, which is one of the things that came up in the study.
Gurwal is calling for more standardization of access to screening and care. She points to programs that already screen for breast or lung cancer.
And If you have a patient with suspected lung cancer in the emergency department, you can be fairly confident that they will reliably be followed up in a timely fashion.
We know that screening guidelines are the age is getting younger and younger. And in some of the young adult patients that I care for, we're often reminding them that the goal is to get screening when you feel well.
And Dr. Alicia Kazam says some screening can even be done by self-referral. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A Kitchener park is about to get a whole lot greener. A tree planting project kicked off today with 20 large trees going into the ground, part of an overall plan to plant 19,000 trees around the city over the next 2 years. CTV photographer Johnny Matza was there today to bring us the sights and sounds of this next stage in the initiative.
Today we're at Mauser Park in the Southdale neighborhood of Kitchener, and we're celebrating the kickoff to a new tree planting program that we're starting. Growing Kitchener's urban canopy is starting this fall for the next 2 years, and we're going to be planting almost 19,000 trees across the city. A lot of our parks have had a lot of ash removal, unfortunately, over the last couple of years. We haven't had the resources to replant new trees into those spaces. So we're going to be putting about 4,000 trees this fall, next spring, and again next fall into just natural spaces that need that new tree cover because of all the ash trees that we lost due to the emerald ash borer.
Let's try that, Grant.
At Mauser Park today, we're starting by planting 20 large trees with the arborist just behind me going on right now. And on Saturday, we're going to plant an additional 200 small trees with the community. All the tools, equipment you need for tree planting, along with refreshments and porta potties will be provided. So the neighborhood and the whole community is invited to attend. They can sign up online to be a part of the event at kitchener.ca/trees and just clicking on the tree planting button there. And we're trying to get everybody working together to quickly help green the city of Kitchener in places where the tree cover is not quite there yet. And we're hoping that the community will feel a bit more invested in the green space if they can have those chances to come out and plant with us.
And speaking of green places, we go live outside once again for a look at this beautiful Tuesday evening as we get closer and closer to sunset. Yeah, happening a lot sooner these days, certainly not staying light out much past 8 o'clock. Alex is back in a couple of moments with our look at the long-range forecast. And also coming up, what's the deal with the pint-sized pumpkins? Spencer Turcotte carves out some of the details of the changes in this year's seasonal crop. But next, Chrystia Freeland moving on. Why the high-profile federal cabinet minister is planning to leave the House of Commons. Well, Alex is here with our long-range forecast, and I think a lot of us are just hoping this lasts forever. Nothing does.
I know.
But today was another stunning day.
Yeah, pretty similar to what we saw yesterday. And like we were saying when we were outside of the patio, just outside of our studio, it was so nice with that nice breeze, that sun still shining. Again, if you have a deck, maybe you want to spend the evening out there. If not, patio. Why not extend a little patio season?
There's something that feels a heck of a lot warmer, about 24, 25 degrees in mid-September than it does in mid-July.
I know, it's so funny how, but we just get so used to it or acclimatized in the summer, and then once we're getting closer and closer to fall, which, yes, first day of fall is on Monday, believe it or not. So, yeah, it just makes it a little bit more special.
Well, bring it on.
We're going to bring it on.
We will soak in all of the sun we can for the next week, the last week of summer.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to enjoy the above seasonal conditions over the next few days as we take a live look outside. Yes, beautiful, beautiful conditions. Mainly clear. Depending where you are, you might be getting maybe a cloud here or there, but overall, lovely conditions. If you are a fan, of course, of warmer weather, the summer-like weather, no extreme heat or humidity, but definitely warmer compared to what we saw even last week. And getting into your evening, overnight hours, when we look at our futurecast now, pretty clear conditions expected to stick around. Not too much activity. So, you know, don't want to bore too many people, but that's pretty nice once in a while, right? So it's not until about Thursday. That's when we could see a little bit more of that cloud cover start to move in. And this is when we could also see a chance for some scattered shower activity. So for us here in Waterloo region, we're seeing about 30% chance for some wet weather on this day. If you're going to be just south of Sarnia, London area, potentially a little bit of wet weather too, but also even to the north. Maybe you're going to head to cottage country and you got the week off, or you're going to take off for a bit of a long weekend. Potentially, again, some scattered showers on and off throughout, but a little bit more cloud cover is expected. Temperature-wise, we are dropping a little bit more. Our high today, 26 degrees. We hit that around 2 o'clock or so this afternoon. We're currently sitting at 24 here in KW, 26 in Peterborough, 23 in the city of Toronto, and with the Humidex, though, feeling just a couple of degrees warmer, 26 here in KW, 25 in Toronto, 24 in Hamilton. So yes, we still have that Humidex. We're still feeling like it's a little bit warmer than it is, but nothing too extreme, which is pretty nice and makes it more comfortable for sure. So we're definitely above seasonal for this time of year. Normal for this time is 20 degrees or so. Record high 34 degrees. That was set back on this day in 1939, and we dipped below zero back on in 2007 on this day. So quite a difference compared to the 7 degrees we're expected to see as we get into our overnight tonight. That sun, yes, rising a little bit later and later, 7:02 a.m. now and setting just after 7:30 p.m. So overnight, clear conditions. We could see a little bit of fog patches start to develop overnight. And if you're going to be out on the roads early tomorrow morning, just keep that in mind because, of course, it can reduce visibility. So for tomorrow, that fog expected to dissipate later in the morning or so. That UV index, though, is considered to be high, sitting at a 6 for us tomorrow. And 27 degrees, that is our expected daytime high, with the Humidex, though, feeling more like 29 tomorrow. So over the next several days, more sun in store for us as we look to your Wednesday. And again, Thursday, like we saw in that futurecast there, 30% chance of showers. So, you know, a pop-up shower, some scattered shower activity is possible for that day. But jumping to Saturday really quick, expected to drop temperature-wise, daytime high only 18 degrees and 9 in terms of our overnight low then. So for Lambton, Kent, and Essex, a sunny stretch over the next couple of days for you with a high of 28 degrees, feeling just slightly warmer with that Humidex. And you potentially could see a little bit of wet weather start to roll in to kick off your weekend before some cloud cover is expected. And southern Georgian Bay, nice sunshine for you as well for your Wednesday, high of 25 degrees before a chance to see a little bit of wet weather for your Thursday with a high of 24. And here is tonight's weather watcher picture. This one sent to us from Lee in Elmira. Lee says they took this shot while kayaking at Pike Lake, which is near Mount Forest, over the weekend. The day started with a bit of rain, but ended with a beautiful sunset and some pretty nice conditions to get out on the water, as we can see here. Great angle, lovely shot. Thank you so much for sending this, Lee, and being tonight's weather watcher. Every time I see someone who is kayaking, or maybe they send us a picture, I'm always so jealous because I'm like, this is the summer I'm gonna try to kayak. I maybe tried it once in my life, but it just seems so peaceful. Maybe just, one time when I was quite a bit younger, but I've been wanting to do it for so long. So
my mom was an avid kayaker when I was in high school, and used to take the kayak out on early in the morning on the weekends when it was so peaceful, and go for these long rides. And I've tried it a couple times. It's fun.
You just don't want to tip over.
No, that's you got to be really careful
balance.
about that. It's very different that way.
But yes, beautiful in terms of sunrise, and then of course we get shots like that for a sunset, nice and still.
Beautiful. All right, thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you shortly. Longtime cabinet minister and former deputy prime minister Chrystia Freeland is quitting cabinet again. Freeland is now set to serve as Canada's new special representative to help with the reconstruction of Ukraine. Details from CTV's Mike LeCouture.
Chrystia Freeland isn't stepping down as an MP yet, saying in a statement she won't run in the next election. A source familiar with the appointment says Freeland will work directly with the prime minister on the rebuilding of Ukraine.
Chrystia Freeland left her final cabinet meeting accompanied by Prime Minister Mark Carney, signaling an amicable departure. Details of her new job only came in a statement from Carney saying, "I have asked Chrystia to serve as Canada's new special representative for the reconstruction of Ukraine." A source speaking on background says Freeland will work with Ukrainian leaders to rebuild its economy, an effort she championed under the Trudeau government as well.
The work that Chrystia will lead on Ukraine will be deeply impactful, not just for the war, but for Canada's national security.
Freeland has been a member of Parliament for 12 years, serving under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, handling key portfolios like international trade and foreign affairs. She also led the negotiation for the Canada-US-Mexico trade agreement.
She's had literally every tough assignment there is in government, and she's done it, with extraordinary flair, and she's done a great job.
In 2020, Freeland became Canada's first ever female finance minister. 4 years later, she resigned from Trudeau's cabinet with a blistering letter criticizing the prime minister and costly political gimmicks, a move that led to Trudeau's own resignation less than a month later. Freeland ran for the Liberal leadership but came in a distant second to Mark Carney. In a statement, she thanked her constituents and praised the current prime minister, saying Mark Carney is a unifier in a time of crisis, and I have absolute confidence in his ability to lead us through it. Ontario's premier also praised her time in politics.
She's always a friend. I talk to her almost daily, bi-daily, and she's a good person, and she'll do a great job over in Ukraine, and I support her all the way.
Late this afternoon, we learned who will fill the void in cabinet. The minister in charge of Canada-US trade, Dominic LeBlanc, will now take over on internal trade. And the transport file will be handled by Government House Leader Steve McKinnon. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
The surprise visit that turned into a big hit. Coming up later on CTV News, Karis Mapp hears from some of the people in Cambridge who met Justin Bieber over the weekend and how that visit has boosted business. Canada's inflation rate rose slightly last month, with a smaller than expected drop in gas prices fueling that increase. Stats Canada reports the Consumer Price Index increased 1.9% in August. That's a slight increase from the 1.7% bump in July. So all eyes turn to the Bank of Canada now, which will release its next interest rate decision tomorrow. If you can wait, though, expect some relief at the gas pump later this week. CTV's Bob Bellachico explains why prices jumped so drastically in the past few days and what kind of relief is in store.
It's crazy, it's tough out here.
Gas prices have gone up in the last week.
It hurts, compared to what it was at last week, it has gone from 130 to 140. It's not fair.
This isn't fair, too. The price of gas in Vancouver a week ago. Yikes. According to Dan McTagg, president of Canadians for Affordable Energy, the way gas stations were doing business has finally caught up to them.
For the past summer, in fact, I'd say going back to last May, they've been charging as little as -2, -3 cents a liter. In other words, they were selling gasoline below cost.
McTagg says what motorists are experiencing is a correction.
Their critical business is not selling beef jerky, it's not selling water, pop, or ice cream, it's actually selling gasoline. If you're losing money selling gasoline, it won't be very long before your creditor comes in and starts asking you to ensure that the price you're selling it at reflects what it costs to actually furnish.
A year ago, gas was in the 140s. Carbon tax was lifted, but different factors have edged that price back up, like an increase in the cost of gas in the U.S. and the exchange rate.
Then you have the second carbon tax, which was never removed, the clean fuel regulation, which people didn't know about.
A tip from McTagg, never fill up your tank before 6 p.m. He says people can save up to $350 a year just by following that simple piece of advice. Lucky for motorists, stations will be switching from their summer blend to winter blend, which is cheaper to produce and should result in a 10-cent decrease Thursday.
So if you're anywhere at a gas station, you can hold off for another 36 hours, might be worth the drive.
McTagg warns while winter gas goes down, winter diesel goes up. Bob Bellachico, CTV News.
Let's recap our top stories now. Leanne Evans in studio with us with the details. Leanne, some lingering questions after a fire that broke out in downtown Elora over the weekend.
No one was hurt, Tony, but fire officials say people inside were put at risk because one of the smoke alarms had been disabled. A tenant also left wondering why firefighters didn't get him out. He was woken up by his dog half an hour after crews were called to the scene. Crews say the priority was to put the fire out, ensure it did not spread, and then search the units, starting with the ones closest to the fire. Officials say what happened is a reminder to always ensure smoke alarms are working. A 29-year-old woman has been charged with second-degree murder in the death of a man found in a Kitchener apartment yesterday. The victim was a 70-year-old man. Investigators believe the two knew each other. They were called to Cameron and Weber Streets for a wellness check around 9:30 a.m. His cause of death still unclear at this time. This is the region's first homicide investigation of the year.
And another first over on our website, Leanne, from our digital team, the first human case of West Nile virus confirmed in Huron, Perth. We haven't heard of a lot of these this year.
Yeah, and it does have public health officials urging people to take precautions against mosquito bites. They say the overall risk remains low, but that it is a timely reminder West Nile virus activity typically picks up in late summer and early fall. Learn more about how to protect yourself by scanning the QR code, downloading the CTV News app, or going to ctvnewskitchener.ca. We've got some tips there over on our website, Tony.
Pretty timely since so many people are spending more time outdoors this week.
Especially with this nice weather.
With this beautiful weather. You got it. All right. Thanks, Leanne.
Thank you.
Pint-sized pumpkins are popping up in different parts of the country. The dry, hot summer is largely to blame. CTV's Spencer Turcotte now on how the smaller squash may alter fall and Halloween plans.
Vibrant rows of pumpkin varieties are on display at Good Family Pumpkins in Waterloo. But this summer's weather across much of the country hasn't been kind to the plant.
For sure, the lack of rain has definitely, in August, has affected some of the growth.
Karen Good of Good Family Pumpkins says their larger Halloween-type pumpkins have had a bit of a spook because of the dry and hot conditions.
I think with some of our bigger pumpkins, I feel that they're smaller.
Although they've had better luck than others.
For our farm, not as significant as maybe some other farms in Quebec, or PEI was also having some issues.
These ones should be at least 30% bigger.
Philip Quinn of Quinn Farm in Quebec has noticed fewer pumpkins in his patch.
Usually a nice healthy plant will have 5 or 6 fruit on it for this variety and 3 or 4 fruit on it for this variety. But we're seeing plants here with just one single large fruit and then maybe a smaller fruit on it.
It's a similar tale across much of the country. About 71% of Canada was classified as abnormally dry or moderate to extreme aridity, according to the Canadian Drought Monitor. So it seems like Good Family Pumpkins may have lucked out, considering they haven't taken much of a hit.
Whether it's our soil, whether it's just we got lucky, the varieties we grow, yeah, hard to know.
Meaning more out-of-town customers may be coming Karen's way.
I get people here saying, yeah, my friend has a farm up wherever, up north, and they don't have any pumpkins. It's a total crop failure, and that's like maybe an hour or 2 from here.
So with the spooky season fast approaching, some patches are dealing with the trickiness of little precipitation. Others have the treat of an almost normal crop. Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Waterloo.
Remembering Robert Redford, the Hollywood legend, died today. We'll take a closer look at his legacy, both on and off the screen, coming up next. Some sad news from Hollywood. Oscar-winning actor and famed director Robert Redford died today. The leading man went on to reinvent himself as a director, producer, and the brains behind the prestigious Sundance Film Festival. Accolades now pouring in for the 89-year-old. CTV's Andrea Case reports.
There are movie stars, and then there was Charles Robert Redford Jr. Born in Santa Monica, California in 1936, his acting career began on television in 1959. He moved on to Broadway, and then came the movies. His good looks cemented his leading man status. But Redford was more than just a pretty face and turned down acting roles which he thought would stereotype him.
Well, that ought to do it. Use enough dynamite there, Butch?
Robert Redford was someone who I think wasn't always given credit for his enormous talent as an actor, simply because he was too good looking. He had the Brad Pitt syndrome that people, I think for a while, just refused to take him as seriously as he deserved to be taken as an actor. But then you look at those films and you place them back to back to back. You see how different they all are, and you see that the common link is Robert Redford.
Marvin.
What do we do now?
He made his directorial debut with the family drama Ordinary People in 1980. It garnered him his first Academy Award. Redford stood for many issues, his star power attracting attention to causes which included political activism, the environment, Native American and Indigenous peoples' rights, and LGBTQ rights. In 1981, he created the Sundance Institute, named after his Sundance character, and in 1985, the Sundance Film Festival was born, taking place where he lived in Utah in the middle of winter.
Our job and our role is to create a space and a platform to bring new voices and new ways of seeing the world using independent film.
Redford was married twice and had 4 children and 7 grandchildren. He died in his sleep this morning at home in Utah, surrounded by those he loved. Robert Redford was 89.
And that report from Andrea Case. More news in a moment. First, let's check in with Alex.
Many of us sitting in the mid-20s still this hour. We'll take a look at how cool it could be to start off your day and wake up weather coming up. Here's a look at your Tuesday night lineup. At 7 o'clock, stick around for E-Talk before The Big Bang Theory. Then at 8, The Winkest Link airs before The Amazing Race Canada. And High Potential kicks off at 10.
It's Jeff, KP, and Backstage Ben in the morning.
3 awesome people that want to start your day or finish your overnight shift.
You'll laugh, you'll text, you'll call, you'll scratch your head, and maybe even beat Backstage Ben. Weekday mornings from 5:30 to 10.
Listen live on the iHeartRadio app or at 105.3 Virgin Radio.
All right, let's join Leanne now for another story that our team is keeping an eye on tonight. Leanne?
Tony, a new hockey season and a new era for Brantford's Civic Centre. The venue, which is the home of the Brantford Bulldogs, will be getting a new name. We'll have more about the multi-year naming rights sponsorship agreement tonight at 11:30. Tony.
Okay, Leanne, thanks so much. Yeah, lots of excitement. The OHL season starting later this week.
Yes.
Of course, you know, Brantford cementing its place with the Bulldogs and all of the arena discussion. So we're getting there. Stuff to look forward to as the weather gets cooler.
Yes, yeah, hockey season right around the corner. So as we're starting to feel a little bit more of that breeze in the air, you know, good news for fans, of course, and a little bit of a breezy start to the day. Speaking of cooler weather, as we look at your wake-up weather for tomorrow, clear conditions, 9 degrees. If you're planning to maybe go for a run or a walk in the dog around 6 a.m., then that sunshine should make an appearance around 8 o'clock or so. By 10, we should be hitting around 19, so just shy of 20 degrees. So already warming up quite early.
Yes, and I don't want to rush the hockey season. I've still got a Jays game to go to before the season is over.
Gotta finish that first.
It's still summer in my brain, yes. And finally for us tonight, a lot of Bieber buzz around Cambridge the last few days, because last week Justin Bieber and his family were seen strolling along the streets of the city and also making some stops along the way.
They were. So they stopped by a handful of businesses, and as CTV's Karis Map explains, the social media impact continues.
The background in this video posted to Justin Bieber's Instagram may look familiar. The Stratford singer stopped by Chicago pub in Cambridge Wednesday evening.
It was kind of surreal because he walked in like any old customer, any regular customer. We weren't expecting him because he wasn't in Cambridge yet, wasn't known. It was crazy.
When we see him the first time, he said, come and see that. He said, tell my kid, oh, come, give me a hug. Oh, man, he's so nice, you know, and they're so happy.
He started by shooting pool.
Some customer, young people, they recognize him. But some maybe like we have a police, right? So they maybe they not recognize him or something. Yeah. So that nobody bothered him at all.
Following up with a private karaoke session where he sang songs off his newly released album.
Like water to a flower, people know you need. We don't think it's like promotion or something like that. You know what I mean? Just like really happy and proud because he come here to enjoy.
Staff even snapped a picture with him.
We didn't want to bother him too much when he was here, but when he was leaving, we asked for a photo all together.
Justin's visit to Cambridge didn't end here. On Thursday afternoon, he and his wife also made a stop at a local coffee shop. No stranger to celebrity customers, with The Handmaid's Tale previously shot in the area, staff at Monogram Coffee Roasters say it was a welcome surprise when the Biebers stopped by.
They just casually walked in and were like, hey, is it cool if we grab a couple coffees? I'm like, of course, come on in. Justin just got a black iced coffee. Haley got like a shaken espresso.
Despite the couple's laid-back attitude, the Monogram crew say excitement was in the air.
Yeah, we could feel it, and we were like, wow. But they were very genuine, very warm, and of course, talking about espresso and coffee. I shook their hands and said, hey, and do you mind if I take a photo? And they were very happy about doing it, and were lovely.
That photo racking up over 35,000 likes on Instagram.
Everyone's kind of reached out and said, how exciting it is, not only for our business, but for our family as well.
We've got a little more traction because of it, which is quite lovely for any business.
The singer even acknowledging the photo by sharing it to his story Tuesday afternoon.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal thing. I don't know what it'll mean yet. It's only been up for an hour, but we'll see.
Kara Smapp, CTV News, Cambridge.
It's the kind of moment you'll never forget.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not.
And I've heard that he is genuinely kind when he makes these stop-ins, because I don't know if I told you this. I've told Leanne this. My brother met Justin Bieber.
That's right.
Bieber randomly stopped into the restaurant that my brother owns in Ottawa, took some time with everybody, took pictures, was really low-key about it, and it probably doesn't dawn on you until after it happens that you were, associating with one of the world's biggest superstars.
Yeah, in the presence of fame, and I'm sure it was quite the surprise to the patrons there. And hey, maybe next time Justin Bieber's in town, you can pop by the studio.
Absolutely. Any celebrity run-ins that you've ever had in your life?
When I was younger, Aaron Carter, Nick Carter.
Oh, very cool.
Hilary Duff for some of those who grew up in the 90s. Big fan. Yes, we won some tickets from a radio show
Very
to go
cool.
meet them. It was awesome.
I think my biggest run-in was Will Smith.
Okay, that's a big one.
At Six Flags, of all places.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Anyway, we could go on. We'll see you at 11:30. Have a good night.
Take care.